Cold, muddy, frozen. The outdoors doesn't come with ideal conditions. When engines get pushed to their limits, the oil inside has to keep up. We're in Superior, Wisconsin at Amsoil, where synthetic oil is built from the molecule up to power what matters off the road. It's oil made for the extremes. This is made for the outdoors.
People are passionate about outdoor equipment.
Get this, Americans spend $30 billion a year on gear.
But no one ever really sees how their stuff gets made.
That's where we come in.
Made for the outdoors. Made for the Outdoors is presented by Warner's Dock.
What does it take to power a snowmobile at negative 20 degrees or take your ATV through really thick mud? Today we're in Superior, Wisconsin, where we're pulling back the curtains on Amsoil. It all started with a question, the kind that sparks something big. High above, jet engines powered through sub-zero air, and down below, a Minnesota fighter pilot had a thought. What if oil built for jets could protect engines on the ground?
Amsoil was created from the idea that synthetic oil used in jet engines could be used in cars.
That's Alan Amatuzio, Amsoil's chairman and CEO. He's also the son of pilot, mechanic, and pioneer of synthetic oil, Al Amatuzio.
Back in the 60s, cars had all kinds of engine problems. They didn't last a long time. They had trouble starting in cold temperatures. They would form all kinds of deposits. A lot of that had to do with really poor lubrication technology.
So Al assembled a different kind of team, not suits and spreadsheets, but lab coats and work boots.
He assembled a team of individuals, of chemists, and they built an oil that could meet the American Petroleum Institute service requirements for automotive engines.
Today, that legacy has scaled far beyond one oil change. Amsoil makes synthetic lubricants for just about anything with an engine. But today, we're zeroing in on what powers the outdoors. The off-road side of Amsoil, built for snowmobiles, UTVs, ATVs, and every machine that leaves the pavement behind.
Amsoil began its synthetic oil journey starting off with a 10W40 motor oil. And the evolution has gone into all lubricants for essentially everything.
And it all begins with what goes in, not crude oil, but ultra-refined base stocks that arrives ready to be transformed.
Here we are at the Amsoil rail spur. We have 6 rail cars here, and these rail cars get delivered 24 hours a day, sometimes in the middle of the night.
So after the oil comes off the rail, it comes straight into this room where the oil is kept in these huge tanks. Some products are thick and require steam heat to unload, warming the fluid before it flows into bulk storage tanks ready for blending. From there, it's precision chemistry. Additives for wear protection, cold starts, heat resistance, all engineered to help engines perform in the harshest conditions.
This is where we add anti-wear additives, corrosion inhibitors, oxidation inhibitors, any type of the performance-enhancing chemistry required for the application.
This is where it gets cooked together.
This is where it gets cooked together.
It doesn't have impurities like wax, so that allows it to work really cold temperatures, and it gives it this hot temperature stability. When I was just starting out in the business, I began in our mechanical, it wasn't a laboratory at the time, it was a garage. It was a garage, and I was working on cars and motors and vehicles and trucks, and I was having the time of my life. I learned so much.
A grassroots grind that built more than a customer base. It built trust where it mattered most, under the hood. And they built a family business that would keep turning wrenches for generations.
So the company was established in Superior, and this is where we've been ever since.
Decades later, that independent streak still fuels everything they do.
We're gonna gear up because you know what? Safety first.
Next, we follow those raw ingredients into the lab where every formula is tested, tweaked, and put to the test. You're watching Made for the Outdoors.
Made for the Outdoors is brought to you by Warner's Dock, Aquarius Home Services, Old Dutch family-owned quality snacks since 1934, Walton's, Keystone Light. Here's to living smooth. Celebrate responsibly.
Nestled on the edge of Superior, Wisconsin is a place few ever step inside. But it's where every drop of Amsoil synthetic oil begins. Not on a store shelf, but in massive tanks, winding pipes, and precisely controlled chemistry that powers engines around the world. But before we get too deep into how it's made, it's important to know exactly what is synthetic oil. If you're like me, you only think about it when your oil change light turns on.
A synthetic oil is something that we refer to as not naturally occurring in nature. It is a compound that is developed and built essentially in a laboratory, and then it is scaled into large-scale production.
In short, it's engineered from the molecule up. Unlike conventional oil, which is distilled from crude, synthetic oil is built for real-world extremes, freezing starts, towing trailers, hauling heavy loads.
When you can build something that is so precise, you can deliver the kinds of qualities and characteristics within the product to make it perform and do what you want. It's like having a really strong foundation in a building.
All right, we're about to head into the lab now and we're gonna gear up because you know what? Safety first.
This is where oil meets the microscope. Amsoil's laboratory chemist, Dale Beck, and his team test every batch 3 times, before blending, after blending, and again before packaging.
They'll actually make all of our Amsoil products here on site, from anything from like say 500 gallons up to 20,000 gallons. They'll bring us a sample of that. We'll test it again to make sure that if it's a 5W30, that it's actually a 5W30.
From cold crank tests to plasma torch analysis, every formula is pushed to extremes. High pressure, rapid oxidation, and even atomic breakdowns.
And what it does is it burns the oil and breaks it down at like the molecular level.
So here's a really clear demonstration of the difference between conventional oil and synthetic oil. At room temperature, generally speaking, this conventional is a lot more thick. And look at this, it moves a lot more freely.
Most people think of oil as black, but this looks clear as water.
So when I get an oil change on my car, they don't put clear oil in my car. I'm pretty sure they don't. So
No, they don't put clear oil in your car. So what we'll do is a lot of the additives that we have are actually colored. So you can see here we have a selection of like say dispersants, which are a really, really dark brown, or detergents, and they're definitely a very, very dark brown. Extreme pressure additives, corrosion inhibitors. So we actually put in different additives that give the oil the brown color that you're used to seeing.
And synthetic oil isn't just about performance. There's a visual side to it too. Some formulas are colored on purpose, making it easy to see what's in your tank.
So we dye a lot of our products depending on either the application or customer interest. Dye a lot of our 2-stroke oils blue so that when it's mixed with the gas, you can tell that it's mixed.
Every product starts small. In the chem lab, tiny beakers bubble, additives drip through tubes. This is hands-on chemistry in action.
it's very mad scientist laboratory.
That's right.
Vibe.
And while it might not look like much, this is where new products are born. Nothing gets missed from how it flows to how it's bottled.
So here we have an oven, and what we're doing in here is we're just testing the packaging components. So not only do we test the oils, but we test the packaging components. You can see I've got the pouch. We're testing to make sure that the seal under the cap is working, and then where the plastic part of the cap meets the foil of the pouch to make sure that it doesn't leak.
Only after it passes every test and satisfies every sense does it move on to final packaging. Coming up, inside the blending room and bottling line, where chemistry becomes product and precision meets scale. You're watching Made for the Outdoors.
Made for the Outdoors is brought to you by Star Bank, Finishing Trades Institute of the Upper Midwest, Nordic Legends Saunas, Walzer Buick GMC, Bloomington and Roseville, Forever Barnwood.
Welcome back to Made for the Outdoors. We've seen how synthetic oil is engineered. Now we follow it into the next phase, scaling up. From precise blending to high-speed bottling, this is where chemistry becomes product. And it all starts here on the blending floor.
So the oil comes in the railroad, or it comes in by tank truck. In through the pipes it comes into a large pipe. And as the oil is flowing through, we pump in additives. And the oil goes through and gets all mixed together. And then it goes into a tank.
The additives, anti-wear agents, corrosion inhibitors, oxidation blockers all get cooked together here, like a giant stir pot, as Alan calls it. But precision matters. Every ingredient is weighed to the decimal point.
And these are all on weight scales, and they're really, really sensitive. If I just push on this with my finger, you can see how it changes. Very sensitive. So that means that the operation is very precise on exactly how much technology we're putting together.
From there, the freshly blended oil moves on to packaging, but not before it's filtered.
We filter the oil before we put the oil in the bottle. Make sure it's very, very clean. We don't want any particle contamination.
Today, they're filling one of their most popular products.
Ah, there it is.
Amsoil Signature Series 5W30 oil, the best oil in the world. Feel it, it's warm.
Fresh oil.
It's like baking muffins in an oven.
Exactly.
It's not just about what goes in the bottle, it's how it gets there. Amsoil uses high-precision filling equipment that measures by weight, not volume, to ensure every jug is exact.
Plastic containers vary in how much they weigh. So this machine zeroes out that weight difference, and then it knows on each individual fill head, and it fills the exact amount of oil per bottle by weight.
Then it's onto the packaging line, like a pit crew in motion, each machine working in sync to fill, weigh, cap, and seal every container with race-ready precision.
Then it goes through a heat sealer, so we put a seal on it. Then this is called a retorquer, so then we retorque the cap, because once you put the seal on, it gets warm, it gets a little loose. Torque the cap on, and away it goes.
And on this machine, this is how we control the left and right.
Machine operator Dylan Berg is part of the team keeping that line moving.
We are in charge of making sure that we have the right batch codes and date codes on the bottle and making sure that we get the right labels onto the bottle. I enjoy the job. Every day is kind of different. All these bottles are looking fantastic.
From batch codes to torque specs, nothing gets overlooked.
We are also always checking to see if any of the bottles get dented or if caps are the right color.
Behind every bottle is a system of checks, balances, and people who care about getting it right. Coming up, the final test. We step inside Amsoil's mechanical lab where engines run until something breaks. Spoiler alert, it's usually not the oil. You're watching Made for the Outdoors.
Made for the Outdoors is brought to you by Star Bank, Sportsman's Guide, Totem Resorts, the premier destination for world-class fishing.
Welcome back to Made for the Outdoors. We follow the oil from idea to bottle. Now it's time to see what it can actually do, and for that, we step inside Amsoil's in-house mechanical testing facility, a custom-built proving ground tucked into the back corner of the building.
All right, so where in the world are we?
We are in the back corner of the building. This actually used to be a giant freezer. Amsoil, prior to us buying it, was a giant food distribution facility.
Really?
Yeah, and this area back here was the last area of the company that we actually really developed for testing. And this was what they used to store all the frozen foods. So we're standing in a freezer literally, although it doesn't look like a freezer anymore. So around 2012 is when this place was actually commissioned. A year prior to that is when it was actually thawed up.
Len Groom is Amsoil's Director of Product Marketing for Powersports, and let's be honest, he might have the most fun job here. He helps lead what they call proof of performance testing, the real-world gauntlet where new formulas go from theory to trusted product.
We got to a place with our testing where we were doing such unique testing to be able to tailor it to the needs of the equipment. We needed certain equipment, we needed to run weird test parameters, and any industry standard testing just wouldn't get it done.
So they stopped outsourcing, built it themselves, and transformed a frozen warehouse into a heat-soaked test lab where just about anything with a crankshaft can be pushed to the edge. That includes a wall of small air-cooled engines like lawnmower motors, weed whackers, and more, run under extreme heat and pressure to simulate real-life abuse.
An air-cooled small engine is a very difficult environment for an oil. They're hot. They live in a horrible environment. Think about your lawnmower. How much maintenance do you perform on your lawnmower? Not much.
Nope,
You push it in the garage, you push it in the garage, and you don't think about it again.
These compact engines are perfect for early-stage R&D, easy to replace, easy to scale, and great for side-by-side tests. And they're not just testing Amsoil against competitors, they're testing Amsoil against Amsoil, always improving.
We're always trying to beat ourselves. We're always trying to do better.
Once a product passes small engine trials, it graduates to bigger machines, bigger expectations, and even bigger stakes. Inside the testing cells, every engine has its own isolated pod. That's not just for show, it prevents airflow or temperature changes from skewing results. Every test is as controlled as possible.
You've got this little cubicle around each one of these engines. Well, we found that what actually happens is they can influence one another with just the moving air around them. Or if one of them shuts off and the air cools off, it influences the one next door. So each one of them has kind of been walled off, and so it's really sequestered. So you're getting a real good test every single time.
The motors are in their own little offices.
Yep, each one of them has their own little office with fuel and exhaust and air coming in.
Then there's the dyno room, where motorcycles, UTVs, and snowmobiles are hooked up and run for hours on end. Real-world scenarios simulated, sensor data gathered, and formulas fine-tuned.
This bike here is a 250-hour test. But this bike sits in here and runs all by itself, automated, for 250 hours.
And when it's done, they tear the engines down piece by piece.
The crank and everything was still serviceable after 200 plus hours in a horrible environment. So it's proof right here that we are doing what we need to do to protect this engine.
They don't just test oil here, they test engines, machines, real-world horsepower. From lawn crews to race teams to snowmobiles running full throttle in the backwoods. And maybe that's why the Amsoil name keeps showing up on the racetrack.
Synthetic oil has allowed many of these engines to achieve these greater horsepower characteristics and performance characteristics that a lesser quality oil would prevent them from achieving.
That mindset's been with Amsoil from the beginning.
Racing is an area where engines are modified, they are subjected to tremendous amounts of abuse, because we use racing as our test ground. We will test our oils in our racing equipment to ensure that it is doing exactly as it's supposed to and as we have designed it to do. And the thing about Amsoil, when our customers buy our product off the shelf, it's the same product that's in the racing equipment. No difference, no difference. That is, I believe, special. And I believe that our customers deserve that.
So whether it's a snowmobile in the backwoods at 20 below or a chainsaw running hot on a summer job site, it's not just about oil.
I have a lot of personal passion and desire in building this product because it's a reflection of me. It's a reflection of my family, and I would never want to put anything out there that is not at the top level of quality and performance for our customers to have.
And we are boxed and ready to go. Ready for your next adventure outdoors.
There's a difference between making products and making products that make a difference in the cold, in the mud, in the middle of nowhere when you need it most. That's where it counts.